Welcome back to European LCS. Moments ago, Yamato Cannon was chatting to Steve after eating some of those cookies, trying to help him and the rest of Roccat, trying to tie this series up 1-1 against the Unicorns of Love. For a look at the lane matchups that the pros are keeping an eye on in this quarterfinal, go check out lolesports.com. The article is there on the front page. While you're there, also click on the tickets link for some information on how to join us for the regional qualifier, because at the end of the playoffs, we will know the team who wins wins Summer Split goes to Worlds. The team with the most championship points, that will go to Worlds. And then the regional qualifier on our stage, teams have to run that gauntlet to make it to the 3rd seed and the World Championships.
That's enough about LoL Esports. Let's move at the game at hand, where the Unicorns of Love, they're staying on the blue side by
because
proxy.
Roccat picked red.
They picked red. They're staying on the red side. But before we head into game 2, let's shortly go back to game 1. Some of the points we want to raise and that I want to reiterate what Deficio so expertly explained on the analyst desk is, yeah, the at least early game impact. You want to pick offensive lanes to make those dives happen. You want to pick combos that at least can make that early aggression worth it, because if you go Cinder Hulk Elise, you become a CC bot, you don't get any early game impact, you may as well pick another jungler with more AoE disengage that gets more things done. And that's something we were lacking from Jankos. And I don't think it's Jankos only, it's a draft as a whole, and then obviously not that man, but the man on the other side for Roccat will have to look into that and get a slightly better draft on the board.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to see how Roccat decide to prioritize the picks and bans. They are red side this game. There will be blue side in game 3. It's the only time Roccat will play blue until a potential game 5. And for Roccat, that Anivia just never really got going for Nukeduck.
We did get a word on Twitter from the man himself. Froggen said it was the best Anivia build that was currently out there. So by definition, it is the best Anivia build that's out there. However, it takes time to scale, and then you may want to, you know... You
can have the perfect build but poor execution, or
the perfect build and
the
wrong combination of champions to make that work. You know, the setup around it. And that was one thing Roccat had. They excelled at kiting, but eventually Vander was forced to counter-engage too early. He got poked out in a lot of these fights, and they weren't just on the same page. Now, obviously, a very complex composition to play. I mean, it sounds like we're harping on Roccat, but that's what we have to do. When a team loses, we point out their mistakes. When a team wins, I probably still point out some mistakes, because that's just who I am. But let's see if Roccat change up that trend and go for something different here.
What we can definitely praise is the change in Unicorns of Love impact their ability to pick a mid-game team comp and then use it in the mid-game effectively, appropriately. You can argue that after the 20-25 minutes, some of the Baron plays were less optimal, but it resulted in Unicorns getting great team fights. If Hylissang gets Annie again and locks people down like he did, picks and bans so far going exactly the same way.
Again, I don't like the Kalista ban. I don't think it's worth banning Kalista out against Vardax, because he's not going to pick it when Sivir is open anyways, because he's not a Kalista player. We have Sivir. Production, can we roll a tape just from the previous match? Just keep going, because exactly it mirrored Sivir into Alistar Elise, into Rek'Sai.
Yep, it's the same.
It's exactly the same again. So, Trevor, make a prediction here.
Well, so previously it was Rumble and Kog'Maw.
Do you really want to see that again, Berlin? You're booing right now, but do you really want to see that match?
This is smart. Nukeduck steals the Victor from Power of Evil. Nukeduck's Victor was fantastic in the last 2 weeks of the split. He's got great statistics on that champion. 2 wins, 1 loss. 17, 6, and 22. Those are very good stats.
Now this composition, if Roccat plays it out correctly with the Victor, it changes a lot of things, especially in the mid game in terms of control around objectives, offensive potential, and just how do they play it out. That matters a lot, especially if Steve will pick up something slightly more aggressive, or just something that has a better combination together with the Elise. We have a lot of options here, and then Rawlins can still be that late game carry on Kog'Maw. Something I want to watch this game is Hylissang's first back. Is he going to go for a double gank with Horo again? We have the famous Morgana on Hylissang, was banned so often, the most banned champion against Unicorns of Love.
12 games out of 18, Crepo, and he's going to get his hands on it. But Power of Evil's going back to that scaling mid laner, which is something that UOL had struggled with. Not used exceptionally well.
It was their style, slow and steady, and they still won a lot of those games where they had deficits. So a very different approach right now. Very physical damage heavy too, because Nautilus, obviously, yeah, he has magic damage, but he's still a tank first, magic damage second. Morgana is support first, magic damage second. So the big 2 carries on the Unicorns of Love are Sivir and Varus, both pure AD damage carries. This gives Steve the opportunity to pick something that can just stack armor frozen hard. Might even see a Maokai coming out. It's not banned currently.
No, 8 games played. This will be the 9th time if that's locked in, and it is. So most played champion here for Steve. He will be going up against that tank Nautilus, and for Power of Evil, this is actually only the 2nd time he's played Varus this split.
And Maokai and Elise obviously have a very fantastic CC combo. A little low on damage though in the 2v2 duel against Nautilus and Rek'Sai, who are slightly higher on damage. Really hard to judge. Depends how it plays out, honestly, because whoever gets the first move, whether gets a counter gank, double knockup could come in. You know, 100% Rage Furious Bite here. That deals then true damage on the Rek'Sai. Many possibilities. Obviously, mid lane is going to be even Stevens. Farm. Whoever roams first.
A drastic shift in team compositions for Unicorns of Love. This is very different to what they ran in Game 1. It is something we know they have run many times in the past. But let's see how their execution is. Because of the fact that, you know, we talked about how many times they fall behind during the summer splits.
What I like so much about this is the composition for Roccat. As these coaches are about to shake hands for the 2nd time today. It's like, hi, you're here again? Yeah, so am I. Ah, interesting. Is that there's offensive potential. Vander can now engage. Steve, his teleport flanks with Maokai were superb in some of the games, and those were the win conditions very often for Roccat. They dragged it out very late until the opponents forget there were wards behind them. Steve teleports in, Twisted advances in. Alistar follows up, and then you have the offensive control mage potential from Victor in these compositions that are in the screen right now. So more aggression for Roccat, and I think this can work out.
We will find out shortly. If you agree with Crepo and think it will work out, hit us up on Twitter at LOL Esports, hashtag ROC win or hashtag UOL win. Unicorns have the fans on their side, as they so often do in Game 1 of the series. And Power of Evil's going back to the champion that he debuted in the spring playoffs against Fnatic.
All right, this is the moment where you can track in the preparation leading up to this best of 5, whether teams have perfected one style, you know, have one recipe mastered, or a chef that only makes one menu. They have multiple menus on the board that they can whip out with cookies or not.
I think you needed to have had more lunch today, Crepo.
All this talk about food does make me hungry.
It does. We did see standard lanes in the previous game, albeit swapped. So the duos went top. Does not look to be the case this game round.
Let's talk about food, more talk about lanes. We have a double spell shield lane on the bot lane. That means that Alistar should never be able to land a combo. Should never be allowed to land a pulverize. Big range advantage here on Kog'Maw once he pops his W. Later on in the matchup, Alistar can sustain. So I think Sivir Morgana into Alistar, Kog'Maw goes relatively even. Slight edge towards Sivir. More of an edge towards Kog'Maw later on.
And I'm going to have to retract my initial statement because we did see a recall there from Roccat. Their duo seems to be going top. It looks like they will be finding Bardax and Hylissang, who are already in position. In the previous game, Horo got 3 buffed early on. We'll see if Roccat can get another
3 buffing
jungle start. It's not as impactful.
Exactly. So it's more about experience. Looks like perhaps a delayed invade 2 here.
It's just interesting to see if it does happen a 2nd game in a row, because this is Roccat, they're not changing.
This is the correct move. Going for the delayed invade on the enemy side is what you need to do, because otherwise you yield 1/4 of your jungle access. Because if you lane swap, you divide the map half by half. Now they cancel the camp, so that's enough already. They obviously don't know how many people are there, but at least they have a peek in and they find out what's happening. Horo, he's down in the bottom lane, duo jungling with Vizichachi, so they have a little bit of a quicker jungle. Obviously we'll have to watch how they change the tankiness and the experience in that matchup. Usually you see at least half and half top laner jungler. Some regions going for even more. Benki has sacked even more to get Marin ahead over at SKT. Let's see if anybody will do a Marin cosplay here.
We'll find out in a few minutes, as we do see the lanes are now standardizing. Nukeduck on the Victor that he's taken away from Power of Evil. You see on screen, played 3 games. Exceptional kill participation. This is also Rockat's style. They tend to be more mid to late game focused when it comes to making decisions.
So Steve yielded a lot of experience. He teleports back into lane level 1. Chachi's level 2. Let's see if that continues to carry on that way. That means Jankos should technically have an experience lead over his counterpart Horo. Let me take a look at that. Jankos 2.5, finishing that blue buff. Horo 2.8 as well, but he's heading to the next camp right now. So Jankos slightly ahead. But Horo has more camps at his disposal. Jankos will now find his jungle empty. We'll have to go for a gank. So let's see if he goes bottom, if Chachi smells a gank, because Steve, together with Jankos, have a very lethal combination.
But what we did mention in Game 1, Crepo, was how Elise, pre-15 minutes, you're looking to have an impact. You're looking to make a play. In some ways, similar to Lee Sin of old, where you want to have an impact, and Jankos is trying to set this up.
Steve is giving it away a little early.
See the root, we see the knock-up, the cocoon! Not going to connect. Chachi's going to dredge line away.
I think that gank could have been executed better. However, it is pressure. Get Steve back in. Does burn the flash for Chachi. Yeah, Jankos was hesitant on where to cocoon. You obviously want to get that fancy Mad Life cocoon out, but once the dredge line starts casting even landing cocoon, I don't think it's going to stop it. Horo, he's lurking. Is he in vision? Is he in the brush?
I think he's in the brush.
Yeah, he should be in the brush. Yeah,
He's got Korean mechanics.
Thank you, observers.
He'll be in the bush. He's going to get the flash from Nukeduck. So, successful gank already.
Flash for flash on both early ganks. Now, what did they do next? Do they revisit the same lane and finish what they started? Or did they just work with the threat of, if we come back to this lane, you will be dead, and then do the mind game, go into a different lane?
Well, something that we were talking about in the office with these mid-lane Varuses is how easy it is to roam and gank them. And talking about ganks, Jankos
he's giving away. Whenever Steve walks forward, Chachi knows something's up, because Steve, traditionally in his lane behavior, will not be walking forward. So every small step he takes is like, I want to get into twisted advance range. That's enough for Chachi to at least smell something's up. So it's very hard to gank a lane that is ever so slightly pushing, because your adversary will obviously give it away. Now, with that knowledge in mind, Steve can start faking it. He can start walking forward.
And we'll see Steve going to try. He's going to get the knockout brief. The dredge line was used. The root comes out. The cocoon lands. Venomous Bite is available. There's another one. That's going to be first blood. Who will secure it? It's Jankos.
Really good return. Really good patience by Jankos, because eventually, if Chachi is going to be continuously afraid of this gank, we'll have to yield CS. And good job on Steve for blocking that dredge line. Getting the escape path out. Obviously no flash on a very slow, big Nautilus. Eventually goes down. Rawless now, he's farming in the top lane. Ever so slightly down. This is what we predicted. Sivir will have the push advantage initially in this lane. Mid lane should be even. So bot lane is kind of the only lane you can really gank. It's really hard to gank a double spell shield lane. And it's really hard to gank for a double spell shield lane as well, because just, yeah, you're pushing constantly. Once you stop pushing, your opponents obviously are going to know something's up. Sivir has been pushing me all game. Why is she no longer doing so? I'm probably getting ganked.
Yeah. And we'll find out when Vardegs and Hellesang decide to move down to the bottom lane. Tends to be when those dragons start to be looked at. You can see the average stats on your screen at the moment. But Jankos, way more active in the early game. He's had 3 ganks already.
Just placed the pink ward, because this wave is bouncing backwards. Combo on Vardegs. Still has spell shield up. See that pink ward, I really like that. You come out of base from an advantage from your gank, you move to the top lane. You see that this wave will now bounce backwards, so they need safety. Because of that pink ward that's in the brush, that allows Vander to move his ward up aggressively. And he, if he wants to, or just scout in that area, and then he can no longer get ganked from behind. Or a lot harder at least, especially against a jungler like Rek'Sai.
Darkbinding connects there onto Mr. Rals from Hellesang. And we see Vardegs, despite the wave pushing towards him, still trying to wave clear it out. Horo's got that tremor sense, so he knows that Nukeduck was nearby. Or at least he knows someone is nearby. And he's going to make his way out of the jungle, but he got some wards down.
Yeah, not much is going to happen on the top lane. Horo, so he knows there's a pink ward in that brush. Vander expect 2 points to heal as Alistar if you're looking to play this matchup, just to get Rawless comfortably to level 6. So very neutral top lane, very neutral mid lane. Both flash bird, but no longer revisited by any of the junglers. So the action was around bot lane, which ironically is 2 tanks, which in your mind is very neutral in that regard as well. So let's see if Jankos is tired of trying to gank and will just invade Horo.
Well, talking about Horo, you can see him on the minimap with the ring of vision around the bottom half of the map. Could look to jump on Steve, but maybe going in from the lane instead.
I think they're afraid of a counter gank.
Okay.
He's looking for a counter gank position because he's predicting Jankos to not be anywhere else in the map, but he's top.
And he's found Hellesang. Hellesang will be going down. Last hit gets connected by Mr. Al, so early advantages to Roccat and Jankos.
Yeah, look at that pink ward placement in the bottom right of the map right now. Right above Steve, that ward is a clear gank path, clear as day. Easy gank for Horo, but he's respecting Jankos as a jungler. He's saying, okay, if I was Jankos, I would be in the bot lane ganking right now. But Jankos says, well, I'm Jankos. I'm not going to do that. I'll just sneak into the top lane, have the help from my pink ward. Nice to go into the brush. And usually when lanes are pushed in, you don't expect to be ganked because it's incredibly hard to land that cocoon. Jankos, he succeeded. They take down Hellesang. Double spell shield lane, ganking, dying to a gank is a mistake.
Yeah. Flash is available as well.
But a fantastic opening from Jankos.
Yeah, and complete opposite to the previous game, where his Elise had next to 0 impact on the map. And this time round, caught out. So Cleanse used Insta after the Chain of Corruption connects from Power of Evil. There's going to be support from Horo. Flash is going to be available in a second or two, but Hylissang with another roam, with a Dark Binding, with a kill for Power of Evil.
And this is something Roccat will need to fix in their communication. Every time either Hylissang bases or dies, people will have to start playing careful because his roams are on point.
Hylissang was a real threat leading into the playoffs in spring. And his opposite number, Vander, will need to try find something to pull it back in.
Well, Power of Evil got some breathing room in that lane, obviously with the gang, so he moves over and loses nothing when he goes for that blue buff. Top lane, Steve and Chachi, forever dubbed a wet noodle fight.
But they've moved their way up top, so that's the first time we've seen the lanes transition. Yeah. BF Sword versus the Sheen and the components of Phage, as you mentioned. That Triforce Cogmore.
Good binding, and yeah, the poke, the BF Sword right now. Compare that to last game where that pickaxe it just does less. And eventually you can whittle down the Cogmaw. However, smart play by Rawls in good positioning. If he gets a couple of these W autos in with Sheen procs, it could be enough to do counter trade. Obviously, very interesting matchup at this point. Very range dependent, positioning dependent. Vander doesn't want to aggress on the enemy. He just really just wants to take those Dark Bindings should they ever go Rawls' way. Play defensive, especially when he hits level 6, then he can counter engage. And then the mind game starts. You W in. Is Vardex going to spell shield it? Is Black Shield going to come out? Do I pulverize immediately? Will they preemptively Black Shield? Very fun matchup to play. And
you can see that in the way Vardex and Hylissang were positioning in lane, splitting themselves up, so the risk of that 2-man pulverize is significantly reduced. We do see Cinderhole's picked up for both Horo, who's now in his own jungle. Jankos was donating blue buff over to Nukeduck.
No mistake there.
Secured that one. A Manamune picked up for Power of Evil. Another Dark Binding.
Black Shield, he's going in.
All the way in. Soul Shackles is out. This will stun. Only Vander, though. Unbreakable Will comes out. Vardex and Hylissang going to look to continue chasing, but they end up winning the 2v2.
Yeah, Vander did the right thing. He W'd out Vardex, didn't go for the combo. Says, well, either you're going to get knocked away. If you don't, that means you use Spell Shield. Then I wait. Then I will pulverize. So 100% guaranteed peel, unless Vardex did the ultimate outplay, which is Flash over Pulverize. We'll get to that later as Jankos
hey!
to Horo.
Horo gets caught by the cocoon mid-tunnel. Still takes a ride underground. But Jankos gets away. The ward stays standing.
Yeah, wards is there. It's kind of interesting that that pink ward has been allowed to survive this long by Roccat, because they must have been aware by now that there had to be a ward there. And it's honestly, it makes your warding so much more efficient, because that ward has survived for over 6 minutes right now. Hylissang is stacking his gold item as much as he can. Those trades.
Zoning very effectively. Rawls and Vander playing very defensive. Rawls, no heal, no flash. If he eats another Dark Binding, there's a lot of damage that can come out. And
Vardex is up 10 CS right now. Obviously this wave will get equaled out, so in true Vardex fashion, he is looking to go bang on even on CS. But Horo is looking for a dive. See, Vander has no ultimate available. He's running low on mana as well. 140 is roughly the mana mark you want to look for on an Alistar. Pulverize costs 70 mana. Headbutt around 70, 65, so like 135, 140 is a combo mana. So you want to force Alistar below that, so every heal then puts him out of combo mana.
We did see Vander and Rawls at least wave clear. We catch a glimpse of Power of Evil in the mid lane, shoving Victor in, shoving Nukeduck back. Even on CS, but Power of Evil's getting damage on the tower, chipping it away. It's this pressure that was actually very present in the previous game, and UOL and Roccat, they're trading pressure and tempo back and forth.
Yeah, more pressure from Roccat this game, mostly due to some phenomenal ganks by Jankos, but they're getting weighed down again by Unicorns, and let's see if they can take some of these towers at the same time. It will immediately open up the map, and perhaps that is what they are going for. Can they play that to their advantage? No dragons has been taken, or have been taken rather, at the 13-minute mark, so Aspect is miles and miles away for a potential win condition. Horo is spotted.
Right.
Chachi roaming to the mid lane.
Chachi may be able to go, and Chain of Corruption connects, the cleanse comes out. This may secure a tower.
So cleanse right now has a 190-second cooldown, Chain of the Corruption roughly around 100. So that means there's a minute and a half where that can be used again, and it'll have to burn a flash.
Mr. Rawls is going to put some damage onto Hylissang. But look at the tower, look at the positioning. There's Mr. Rolls and Vander, they're losing presence and pressure in that lane and the tower.
Yeah, Jankos has been ganking for the majority of the game. Horo, he's been content with just shadowing his lanes, lurking in the shadows behind the scenes. Should you get ganked, I'm ready to counter gank. Meanwhile, you can safely exert pressure on the enemy because I'm always there to back you up. It's more of a Rek'Sai style approach because when Rek'Sai tunnels in aggressively for a gank, then gets counter gank, she gets punished incredibly hard. So both these junglers trying to read each other, but right now the map is slowly going towards unicorns. Very uncharacteristic fashion.
Yeah.
Because usually they are behind.
And they've got that scaling mid laner as well. Almost 15 minutes. Power of Evil's got a kill. He's even on CS. As we said, he's only played it one other time this split, and he'd actually given up a death at the same point. Got himself a Brutalizer now, so got some CDR, some armor pen. And is in a very comfortable position. A little bit ahead of Mr. Riles' average for that Trinity Force, and a needlessly large rod for Nuke Attack. So item spikes are being hit on both sides.
The one thing we have to stress again on this Roccat lineup though, as we see the unicorns take that dragon as a result of the exerted pressure, is that they're again very magic damage heavy. Every single member exerts some type of magic damage. The only physical damage coming out of this lineup is Mr. Rawles on Kog'Maw, and he is majority physical, but he's still very large part magic too, especially with his ultimates and his poke. So this in turn means that Chachi could go for heavy MR yet again. Come frontline. Horo, he can spec into very tank heavy MR. And there is denied passage, but we'll get the warning anyways.
UOL could go for a similar itemization, which was actually exceptional in the previous game.
I think it was definitely the right direction. Maybe slightly optimizable. Maybe trade, Talisman for Righteous Glory. Maybe not double stack the A guy, but that is nitpicking, I guess. So definitely good read on what to build there. I really like the Banner of Command though. I think it's really, really strong item, and it should be built more in competitive play.
It feels like every time you and I cast together, it is built, Crepo. Tower's going to fall down bottom as Jankos has moved in, using that human form ranged auto attacks from Jankos. It will be the first tower for Roccat. We'll keep gold even as we're heavily into the mid game now. And
Nukeduck on his Victor will be very happy whenever he see Horo somewhere on the map, because he obviously has lost his tier 1 tower in the mid lane. Just to play without that backup. This always allows Power of Evil to push first, because Power of Evil has backup tower to back him up. That's what a backup tower does. Obviously Noctua doesn't. Almost losing that blue buff, but he gets out-rotated towards the mid lane right now because they saw him do the blue buff. Yeah, chipped away at the tower. It's going to be roughly half HP gone, if not more. Look for the laser.
Chachi's here as well. Jankos going to look for the cocoon. There's a black shield available. It's going to be used on Power of Evil. That's a flash over the wall from Steve. Hylissang forced to flash defensively. That'll cancel the soul shackles as Steve gets knocked up by the mine. There's a Chachi's now moving backwards defensively. AD carry starting to move. Bardax has used on the hunt. He will get in range, but nothing further will come.
In true support fashion, Hylissang black shields his carry as he gets piled upon and then flashes out. Doesn't save it for himself. Not a selfish player. Mid tower under siege. 30% went out. 20% went out. Double combo from Vander.
Chaos Storm as well. It's a lot of damage. Tower's not dropped, but here's going to be a lot of poke. So close to getting nuked. Unicorns of Love have a minion line moving up shortly, and with Roccat so low, Unicorns, they may stick around for the tower.
Definitely a transformation from the Unicorns ever since Horo joined. GP in a pre-game interview talked about how Horo has been helping him both attitude-wise in the team, really strong player, in addition to helping the coaches, because this is a very revamped Unicorns of Love in terms of strategy. How often have we seen Unicorns siege a tier 2 tower in the mid lane at 17 minutes in the game, with 5 members going together for a map-wide play? Very rarely have we seen that European LCS.
Very impressive from the Unicorns and worrying for Roccat. They're now 2,000 gold down, 1,500. They've given up a dragon, they've given up an extra tower, and I think more importantly, they're relenting under the pressure. There's some wards for Unicorns to play with though.
Now keep watching Steve though, because he has his teleport available, and when Roccat has fallen behind in the past in a couple of games, even in the matchups against Unicorns, last time they played, they managed to hide some wards behind enemy lines and then make the Unicorns comfortably in that push. Say, okay, yeah, we're getting siege upon, you're doing great, fantastic, nice strategy. Boom, Steve teleport right behind them. And that could be enough to open up the map.
Vander was trying to get a combo onto Chachi, but the defensive dredge line kept Chachi alive. Chachi's had some pretty good defensive dredge lines. Unfortunately, once there's all Roccat showing in the bottom lane, Unicorns secure an uncontested tower. 2 more now Chain of Corruption connects onto Nukeduck. There's some support from Jankos
This time
coming
defensively,
up.
though.
But look, top lane.
Maokai
Unicorns
can hold
gonna
that
keep
for
pushing.
a while. There's only one damage dealer in the top lane. It's only Sivir there. They have Victor and Elise. And Power Vivo was trying to edge his way in. He realizes he can't really do too much in the mid lane, so they're looking to make that that siege spike really on that next minion wave coming in. Let's see if they get back up in time and whether this mid lane tower will fall. Honestly, at this point, it might be worth trading tier 2 top for tier 1 mid, just to open up the map a little more for Roccat, give them a little more room to play with. Steve gets bound, but he is very tanky, so Roccat can hold this tower. Double spell shield used, so that should be tier 1 tower for nothing.
So, unfortunate for Unicorns, but great for Roccat. They still have to knock that tower down. We see Horo coming in behind Jankos and Nukeduck. Chachi's nearby. I don't think they're going to be able to. So the tower actually remains standing,
Yep.
Crepo. Both teams get damage and trade position. Boomerang Blade will connect on Vander, and Roccat are able to escape. There's a minute until Dragon is up. Baron was used after Vision and a lead was secured, but look at the Vision from Rockat's side towards the Unicorns. There's a ring of red wards.
Yeah, that is some really good deep vision. I'm just going to pan over on my screen and see when it exactly will expire. About 90 seconds left on most of these wards, so that could prompt a potential Steve teleport that we have been talking about. However, on the other side, in Roccat jungles, very few deep wards because Unicorns of Love were playing to the top side of the map, so obviously bottom side of the map underpopulated, so that Roccat defense might actually mean a lot for this game, that they can keep their top side alive. They've spent some time invading in the bottom side, obviously can rotate back towards that first dragon, potentially for them. Let's see if they want to set up a team fight for that dragon with Steve, with Righteous Glory right now, and more engage on Roccat, and that was what they were lacking last game. They had counter engage, they had kite, but they couldn't find the opening windows to really punish the Unicorns.
We've just gone over 20 minutes. The Dragon will be up in 10 seconds, and not only is that Righteous Glory with Steve, you can see Vander's working his way there as well.
Very confident.
Ludens and Lost Whisper.
Once Black Shield and Binding are down, Vander can obviously face stick. In the event that somebody finds himself in that brush, he can use Unbreakable to get out. And yeah, this is the result of that vision control from Roccat. Really good wards by Vander. The Sang will try and go for cheeky steal.
Not this time.
Doesn't work.
Of course, with those poke comps, Unicorns late to arrive.
Horo,
Pushing away Ryan.
traditional answer. You play on the bottom right side of the map, I will go to the top left side of the map. Taking away that red buff. And then potentially warding some more in the jungle for Roccat. Keep their eyes on that tier 2 tower top. They could now push in mid lane, rotate to the top lane, but sieging into a Maokai at this point in the game is pretty rough, so they're splitting up their forces.
Unicorns still unable to take down that last outer turret, Crepo. Bardex and Hylissang, they got pushed in by Jankos much earlier in the game. After Jankos moved in there. So a little bit of props to Riles and Vander from keeping it alive, lowering some of the gold lead the Unicorns have built up. And again, there's your double Aegis from Unicorns of Love against the magic threats.
Yeah, double Aegis coming out. It is, this time it's okay because Horo will be playing the fight in a different area than Hylissang will. Yes, Morgana has the close range ultimate, but in most fights she just uses it to peel tanks off the AD carry. So they play in different fights. Double
Vander.
banner could be good too. Vander will have to use his ultimate eventually.
Unbreakable will to stay alive. Nobody else from UOL is going to die for that. They're happy with the tower.
So Unicorns, they reclaim the vision control. Roccat didn't really care, but also they reclaim that control over the bottom side of the map and take down a tier 1 tower. 4 towers to 1 right now. Very aggressive, forward-thinking Unicorns of Love coming out this game.
It's resulting in a gold lead. It's resulting in... They got the first dragon, and there's no relenting. Unicorns grouping themselves up down the bottom. Chain of Corruption.
Goes wide.
Goes wide. Not the first time we've said it. It
As
won't
per
be the
usual.
last. But look at the ward. It's behind Unicorns.
Steve.
Here comes Steve, and he's got cookies. Vonax is in trouble as Jankos takes him out. Horo's trying to tunnel away. Chachi's teleported in, only to run away. Nukeduck gets caught by the dredge line and the mine, and he's knocked up. Power of Evil's looking for the kill, but there's a flash
Flashes.
away. Nukeduck stays alive. Power of Evil continues to land those auto attacks. Dark Binding noms a Spiderling, but that is all. 1 for 0 in favor of Roccat. And they stop Unicorns' pressure.
And this is exactly what we were talking about. Once the Unicorns get lulled into this false sense of security, yes, we're seeing we have 4 towers to 1. They forget about the wards and their flanks and behind them. Steve finds an opening. 1 kill only though. A lot of flashes burn on both sides. So now the team fights shift in a different way. When Roccat have to use all their flashes, they have less engaged potential again. Flashes with advances off the board. Vander is the only one really with an engaged flash potential because even Jankos had to flash out. Let's watch that again. They're sieging. Horo is doing the Grom. Do they see the teleport? It's not been pinged out, but I imagine they're aware of it because they see people running at them. Alex had already used his spell, so he's out of the equation. Chachi comes in. Jankos, a little deep. Keep your eyes on Nuktok. He's not afraid to play aggressively. Again, Chachi, good turnaround Dredgeline. He did this last game too. Arrow comes in, flash. Very last second. Failed combo from Vander, or he knocks one away and one up, so in that sense, good combo from Vander. And then yeah, all the Righteous Glory are on cooldown, so you can't really do anything else.
Let's take a look at the mini-map. Unicorns, while they are pushing and pressuring deep, they're also keeping up their vision game. Almost every time you look down in the early stages, the 15 to 25 minute mark, Unicorns have got great vision on the map, and they're using it quite effectively this series.
And that has been Horo. He hasn't really ganked any lane. He's shadowed at best with the Rek'Sai, and he's been at multiple parts of the map because of obviously, you know, having that Void Rush available to go left and right on the map. So perhaps it could be wise for Roccat in the next game to just, you know, force Horo on a second jungler. He's new, not new to the LCS, but he's back in his first game of this split. Maybe they could put him on uncomfortable junglers. Maybe just target that vision control a little bit. Because Unicorns have clearly worked in some mechanisms in these last few weeks. Hylissang working together with Horo, getting that vision out, then going for those towers, grouping up for those sieges. Dredgeline from Chachi.
It connects onto Ralls. Vander's trying to play defense, but the Dark Binding from the corner will at least slow Ralls down. I think Vander not only saved Ralls' life, but has delayed the tower pressure enough for Steve to get closer.
Coming on the flank. Hylissang is low. Binding after binding, really good accuracy on those Dark Bindings.
There's a reason it's the most banned champion against the Unicorns of Love. But the wave clear from Roccat is strong, and they're still defending the tower.
And PoE is playing a fantastic Varus. Every piercing arrow is connecting because he's reading the game. He's waiting until people move in predictable movement patterns. Every time Nuktak walks forward to laser the wave, he eats an arrow. Every time Rawless steps in to either cast an ultimate or proc a W all attack, he eats an arrow. Right now he's using it for wave clear, just get that healthy wave in the tower and use that momentum. Perhaps get the first base off, move somewhere else. Baron baits on the table. A lot of options for Unicorns right now.
And they're playing it safe. I like the fact they realize wave, 2 waves, we're not going to get this tower, so they back away. There's farm to be had on the bottom lane for Vizichachi. Doesn't have teleports available. As you see that locket completed for Horo a moment or two ago, and all of the magic resist from Vizichachi. You see he's got the Spirit, you see he's got the Spectre's Cowl, so...
And he's fulfilling his role where Chachi used to be such a big, what we call, you know, hyper carry, you know, carry top laner. He's now fulfilling the role of tank CC bot. He's building CDR with the Glacial Shroud and the Spirit Visage and just stacking on magic resistance as efficiently as he can. That Spectre's Cowl is one of the most efficient magic resistant items in the game. You know, get some raw HP, get some MR, quick finish onto the next item. Get as many as you can because Roccat is so heavily oriented around the magic damage.
And of course, considering how important Nuktak is for wave clear, this blue buff steal is also going to help out UOL.
And Roccat sieging onto that middle lane tower right now, but as time progresses, that poke, that piercing arrows is going to do less and less because there's 2 Frozen Hearts finished on the side of Roccat already. Steve has 1, Jankos has 1. Nuktak, no Zhonya's yet, so no armor there, and no armor obviously on Rawless because he's not Genja and he's not building Randuin's Omen.
Unicorns lose their outer middle turret to Roccat. They still maintain a gold lead and vision control on the map, so this will allow a relatively safe dragon by the Unicorns of Love. Horo and Vardax 2-manning while the rest of Unicorns hold off Roccat in the middle.
Bit of a repetition from last game. Unicorns have these early moves planned out, but eventually they run out of easy towers to take. And as the game gets a little harder, the gold gap kind of shrinks or becomes less relatively important. So only 2,700 gold remain. Unicorns have set their sights on these tier 2 towers, one in the top, one in the bot lane. Roccat, they're holding on pretty well, and as the game progresses, we have to remember that Unicorns are playing only with 280 carries type of damage. No magic carry in their lineup.
And the last time we were at this tower, Crepo, there was a teleport from Steve. It was also a missed chain of corruption.
A parade of missed skill shots coming out of Unicorns of Love. This will probably break the siege because Raw is coming out of base. He's working on that Blade of the Ruined King just to kite that front line, keep himself alive.
We'll see. Unicorns, they really want this tower. It's the second last remaining outer. Chachi's going to get caught by the cocoon. Repel comes up from Jankos, but he's just going to drop back down where he stands. Righteous Glory's timed.
One engage move out. Look for flash from Steve, look for flash from Vander.
Unicorns, they're not giving up. Minion Wave is pushing against them in the top lane. So someone's going to either have to deal with that, or they're just going to sacrifice the farm. All right, one more wave, one more attempt from UOL. Piercing arrow, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's incredibly hard to get here. Nuktok is playing this very correctly. The poke's going on to Steve, he doesn't care, he has sustain. Rawless is hiding right behind the tower, and every time the minion wave comes in, nobody can force it in together, you know, with champions because of that gravity field that comes out from Nuktok. Then the laser's enough to clear it. Gonna be hard to siege. This tower has, yeah. Hillsang's the only one dealing damage to this tower, so I think Unicorns will need to take a different approach because no minion waves are exerting enough pressure. Unless one bind connects here from Hillsang. Second, ultimate from Power Evil is up though. That could surprise Roccat.
Look at Roccat, they're posturing forward. Cocoon does connect, but nothing more. Unicorns have shown great growth since the regular split. They're playing early, they're playing aggressive in terms of the objectives, but like the Baron baits in game 1 and now these inner turret lane pressure, it's just not working out the way Unicorns wanted to.
Yeah, very stale siege there. If only you could leave a cardboard copy of yourself and sneak off to Baron. Okay, I would have believed, okay, they're still here. Ah, no. Sadly, that's not possible in League of Legends. Unicorns do realize that after 3 consecutive minion waves and 5% damage on the tower, they need a reapproaching strategy. They move over to the other side of the map. The only thing good about these type of plays is that you're both spending so much time in the bottom lane that the wards literally disappear to the other side of the map. Wards last 3 minutes. That siege alone was like 2 minutes on itself. So any ward that's anywhere around Baron is gone. So you can rotate out. There's no pink wards left and then start baits. Not sure if that was the intention of Unicorns, but
let's give them the benefit of the doubt and see if Unicorns focus now on the top half of the map. They seem to be grouping that direction on your screen. Banner of Command was picked up by Hillsang this time around. We see the Ghost Blade picked up for Power of Evil as well. So big item spikes as we've gone over 30 minutes. But
Steve's teleport, ward goes down. They notice that the Baron's going down. Look at how quickly it's going though.
Teleport.
They're backing out. They're forcing Steve to land because he has to, because otherwise they can recommit to the Baron.
Steve has landed. He's been binded as well.
Really good move by Unicorns.
Baron is going to be hitting on Steve. That forces a defensive flash. This time round, the minion waves are in favor of the Unicorns of Love. So Kripo denying vision on Baron. They went straight there, and they're going straight for Rawls. On the hunt, flash! Binding forces a flash from Rawls. This will get them a tower. And a flash on the AD carry like Cogmore is so valuable.
This was a fantastic play by the Unicorns. Honestly, unheard of. Haven't seen this the entire split where they go for a Baron bait, they force the teleport, let him land, back off of the Baron, don't race it, don't get baited into that 50-50. Translates into a rotation in the top lane. Aggressive flash to trade summoners with the AD carry. Morgana can easily play at the outskirts of a fight without flash. She's a support. Probably one of the supports that needs flash the least because their ultimate really isn't that valuable on carries, more so on just peeling tanks away. So really good read. Now they can, again, push Roccat in, move back into the jungle, potentially choke out the vision there, or keep sieging this. They have multiple options at their disposal.
And we'll find out what they decide to do. As it stands, Vander's looking for it. He's flashed, and that Pulverize hit nothing. Jankos, he finds the cocoon onto Power of Evil, and we see the Arcane Smash coming for the kill. With Power of Evil down, what can Unicorns of Love do? Vardax is chunked down to half HP as Chachi's running as much interference as he can, but he's going to have to take a dive if he wants to stay alive. Black Shield will hold him for a few seconds before Rawls gets one more auto. 2-for-1 trade.
2-for-1, a greedy flash from Power of Evil. He stayed long enough for Steve to connect a Twisted Advance, followed him all the way through, and then really good opening from Roccat. I realized Unicorns of Love are playing with fire when they're sieging. It's incredibly hard. Without those Baron buffs, I don't think, yet again, last game we said it too, they can't deal with the magic damage wave clip. Let's look at that again. Vander flashes with Pulverizes, offensive control. Chachi's not here. Power of Evil eats a cocoon, flashes out, but then, yeah, Steve connects with Twisted Advance, so Power of Evil's flash is down too. We had heal. He's not running cleanse this game, so he couldn't cleanse out of that CC. Nuktok and Rawless untouched. Once one guy goes down, one of the carries, there's not enough remaining damage to take down or Nuktok or Rawless. So good opening by Roccat. However, Banner uses flash, Jankos uses flash, Steve doesn't have flash. So less risk right now for Unicorns.
Unicorns have made their intentions quite clear. Dragons and Barons. At least maybe trying to force Rockat's hand. 10 seconds till the next dragon will spawn. And I think Roccat intelligently moving there early-ish. And we see more armor picked up here for Steve as well.
Yeah, that could very well be a Thornmail coming out from Steve, because he can... It's very easy and very, very fun for a top laner to see the enemy matchup and say, okay, they have only 80 base damage, I can stack armor. Very efficient build paths. Frozen Heart into Thornmail, Frozen Heart random into Thornmail. All possible as Roccat pick up their second dragon.
Edge line is going to connect. We are going to see the Arcane Smash and the Twisted Advance. Vander's now in the middle of the team. Unbreakable Will is ticking. Another Dredge line pulls him back in. Unicorns are trying to reposture, trying to re-engage, and they're going to look for a tree. They're going to find the tree. They trade Steve's life for Hylissang. Flash from Vardags aggressively gets him a double kill. And now UOL at 30 seconds in 4v3.
They need to get a Baron or an inhibitor to make that flash worth it. Flashing has 80 carry for a kill on support. Looks pretty, but you'll regret that you did that next fight. She goes in, he'll get poked.
Oh, that was a mistake. He did not want to find that wall. Not gonna... Oh, he does channel the ultimate. It catches Nukeduck, but it won't be enough. Remember, there's no flash for Vardags. It wouldn't have mattered as Mr. Rolls gets the kill.
Yeah, I think
UOL misplaying that one.
Unicorn's a little too happy on the trigger right there. Vardags flash, it looks pretty. Yeah, flash. Got him, boys. I just killed a 1 HP support with my flash. Let's siege. Oh, we hit a wall with Redline. Oopsie. Happens to the best of us. Game goes back to a neutral state. 2 dragons to 2. Gold gap is 2k. Fight over Raptors. But most importantly, these carries from Roccat are scaling up, and more importantly even, their tanks are getting tankier. Very one-dimensional item builds right here.
It works when you got so many 80 carry threats to deal with. Steve has got that Thornmail completed that you were theorizing about, Crepo. And we'll see whether or not Vardags and PoE can survive. Power of Evil's got no Bloodthirster, so if he's auto-attacking, he'll be in trouble. And Vardags is building his way up.
The Elasted buffed cannon minion goes upon a journey. What I'd like to see from Steve here is actually, ironically, a magic resistance item, QSS. Because he's getting stopped in his tracks every time he goes in. Dark Binding, you know, Chain of Corruption, everything comes out. Imagine if he could just build back to his glory, get a QSS, and surprise the enemies by soaking up the CC, walking, and then just connecting a Twisted Advance, locking down a target. It could be a decent approach, because right now he's tanky enough to survive these fights.
We'll see if Steve is forward-thinking enough.
Not even sure if that's a good build, I just thought about it. So perhaps there are many top players out there that are saying, Crepo, what the hell are you smoking today? Because that's not really smart, but...
Well, look how long it's going to take Steve to kill.
He's magic damage. Pretty easy.
Empowered. Taking a long time. Teleport is available for Steve. Now, Unicorns baited it previously by a Baron play. There's some vision. Hylissang sidesteps the Cocoon. Baron's down to 4,000. Teleport's going to start. Soul Shackles is being channeled. It'll hold Vander in place. Jankos is looking for the steal. Can he find it? No! Unicorns above. They get the Baron buff. Now Vander's going to get caught out as Jankos has already dropped. Vander still alive for a few seconds longer. Horo's looking for him and he finds him. Chaos Storm comes up. Nukeduck and Roccat. They want to clean house. Hylissang's running away and Vardags still does not have flash available. I don't think he can get to his side of the map though. Vardags is going to buff these Baron minions before getting away. It's at least going to shove a lane in. There's 3 members of UOL around the 3 members of Roccat, and this is going to put some threat on them. Steve eats a Dark Binding, and both teams fighting on the other side.
Go buff those minions, quick! Ah, they're gone.
Not going to be enough. Unicorns, they're looking for the fight. Where's Vardags? He's hanging around by the river. Dark Binding, that could set up another kill.
Rawls has flash, so keep your eyes on Rawls. He has to carry this fight. Binding goes wide.
And we see Roccat, they're finally trying to find their way back to their own territory. Vardags is lifesteal a little bit up from that Vamp Scepter. Rawls, that's a 3-man knockup! Horo goes huge before he goes down. It did not matter because Vardags couldn't auto-attack. Here comes Chachi! He gets the dredge line, he throws the mine, and then Unicorns run away. He used a teleport for that.
That is 1 teleport and 2 flashes to get a kill on Nukeduck. They have to capitalize on this. If they can't, it looks pretty, but yet again, you have to see what you do. Now, I want you to keep your eyes on the ward that will be placed in the pit and on Steve's teleport, because I think if Steve goes into the pit together with Jankos, this fight could have been a whole lot more different. Look, the ward goes down, but Steve's teleporting in the brush on the right side. Look at what he has to do right now. He has to waste his flash. If he has it, does he even have flash? Yes, he does. He goes in with flash. He could have been in that fight already, disrupting and getting a flash onto potential Vardags or Power of Evil to win that fight, while Rawless is standing on the side, being just artillery from the wall. So this fight could have played out a whole different. Look at how much damage is being done to PoE here from Nukeduck and Steve. And how low Vardex is. This fight could have gone
so much better.
So much different. And it's in the little things right now. And that's what you have to look for. Because we're in quarterfinals of playoffs right now. We can start criticizing these teams for these plays. Because at Worlds, when you play against the Chinese and Korean teams, they will not make that mistake.
And that could be the difference between winning Game 2 in the best of 5 or going down 0-2. Had Roccat been able to wipe UOL, that Baron buff could have been negated. Hell, they could have even stolen it.
Waiting for Godot. Oh, for Nukeduck instead.
Yeah.
Okay, eventually that blue buff goes down.
Power of Evil picks up his own blue. More armor being picked up by Jankos. And Roccat. Second Righteous Glory.
Still some MR though. I guess to deal with Chachi. Chachi is tank Nautilus with some CDR. Riptide does very high base damage though. You have to remember that. So I think it's around 400 if you connect all the 3 procs on a very low cooldown. It's on like a 5-second cooldown. Just gonna double check.
3.5 with this build.
Only 3 points into that, I believe though. No, 5 points into Riptide already. Yeah, so 3.5 seconds. That's a lot of damage over time that comes out from that Nautilus. Chachi being respected in that regard. Yanko saying, I will be majorly dealing with you in fights.
Crepo. Unicorns have got Baron on a few of their members. They've also got a Banner of Command. You can see once again, side lanes pushing towards Roccat.
But what they need the most, or what Roccat needs the most is time, because they're scaling more and more beneficially into the late game. They've denied 2 dragons from Unicorns. If Unicorns got them, they could have sitting on Aspect right now, but that's not the case. They're working on their 3rd dragon right now. More movement speed. 1 Banner of Command buff minion in the bot lane, but that's almost dying. But Roccat are at the verge of being out-rotated here. If Unicorns will spot that, they could even use Sivril to get to that tower quicker.
Maybe they will. Roccat are going to be able to get to the tower though quickly enough. Unfortunately for UOL, weren't fast enough.
Good poke.
Nukeduck, however, does not have that armor stack built up, so he gets chunked out real hard.
He's waiting for his flash right now as well. If Unicorns will have timed that, they know that their window of opportunity is closing soon, because sieging on a Victor with Flash Chaos Storm is dangerous, especially when that Baron buff seemingly worn out.
Short. Yep, it has.
So we're back at where we were 10 minutes ago. Sieging into this lineup from Roccat is incredibly hard.
It's taken a long time, but Unicorns have made it work by eventually peeling away from the siege and looking for their other objectives. Chain of Corruption, it will connect in a lockdown, at least a front line. The engage tools for Roccat.
Yeah, this siege is not going to happen unless Chachi peels off and moves into the top lane. It's a massive wave back there, and you minimap, you can spot it. Not enough to take the tower down on its own.
Small
Full HP still in the top lane tower.
Chachi was tanking the laser. A couple of autos from Vardex. But without minions around, that tower's got a lot of extra armor. It's going to take a hell of a long time for that to work.
Chain of Corruption is on a 42-second cooldown. That is not very much right now. So that is what Unicorns of Level are looking for. They'll shoot it and miss intentionally. Because then, surprise! Early Chain of Corruption is coming out. Nukeduck's in the top lane. He used his laser. Chain of Corruption is up again. Roccat may not be aware of this. They need a wave.
That's meta. Miss this one. Bait them in, Power of Evil.
That's what I do all the time.
I like the thinking. We do see the Cocoon catches onto Hillesang. Black Shield's being channeled. Chachi's way up on the front line. Chain of Corruption is going to start to spread.
Look for the carries.
It's going to hold Mr. Rolls. It's going to hold Jankos. Cocoon goes wide. Power of Evil still trying to spit out damage from afar. Steve gets pulled back in with the dredge line. The boomerang and the ricochet. It will get a kill. But Nukeduck will find one onto Vardags. Without Vardags, this siege is going nowhere. And Nukeduck may have saved Rockat's life.
A very chaotic fight in the end. Vardex takes one step forward to finish off Steve, but he walks right into Nukeduck, and you see, it doesn't take much. He's not building armor because he's building straight AP. Have a look. He is now 763 ability power. That's enough to take down Vardex because he's sitting on an uncomfortable 1.9k HP. Victor alone in a couple of spells takes that down. And yes, Steve, he's surviving so long in his fights. Look, he's building Frozen Heart, Random, and Stormmail, the most efficient triple item combo into pure AD-based compositions, because obviously he won't be eating much magic damage from Visit Chachi. Chachi will be dealing with other members in the team fight. And Vander, in addition to his Righteous Glory, is going to build a Talisman right now because he knows all we need is mobility to close the gap on the carries. Unbreakable should be enough to be tanky enough in these fights because very limited damage approach from Unicorns, and they're slowly but surely getting outscaled in that department.
Yeah, we're 43 minutes in. We can see Mr. Rolls just, to use a freak word, eviscerating everything he hits. Phantom Dancer, Blade of the Rune King, Triforce, even a defensive QSS to break a binding or a chain of corruption. And Mr. Rolls, as long as he doesn't get caught, he's fine, but he's 5-0-5. He's not been caught yet.
Well, it is obviously raw 80 damage. We cannot underestimate the power of Sivir in these late game teamfights. One Ricochet, one Boomerang Blade with his 4-item combination can wreak havoc. Is enough to one-shot or two-shot, you know, Nukeduck or Rallis should they connect properly. Just very position-reliant fights here. But I would put my money on Nukeduck and Rallis as a combination to position slightly better than Power Beetle and Vardex. So in that regard...
And they got a few more tools on their side to help them with that as well.
Mid lane's open, Baron has been warded by both teams. Red buff taken by Vardex, that might help him in fights. Red buff slowing down people in these extended, you know, paced team fights may prove useful.
You do see that Banner of Command has been used to buff up a minion. And by the way, the top outer turret is still standing. I think it's important to mention, Roccat have only got 2 towers this game at 45 minutes. We've been playing on Rockat's side of the map the entire time.
But I'm having a look at the top lane right now. The Banner of Command buff minion is meeting a massive wave in the top lane. That is poor foresight from the side of UOL. It's a complete waste to use that, I believe, 2-minute cooldown on that minion that's just going to get absorbed by that wave anyways. Look at Vardex, he's soaking up. That wave just took down a Banner of Command minion. In retrospect, that could have been down on the bot lane, you know, make it so that you can at least slow push, or first go deal with the wave, then use that cooldown. However, Roccat have found an opening on the Baron, spotted by the Scrying Orb. Chachi teleport is being channeled.
So is Steve's. Here comes Steve, Horo, and the rest of Unicorns. They're going to connect with a chain. They're going to connect with a binding. Baron is dealing damage to Roccat, and the team fight has begun. Horo's going to knock up a giant tree. Vardags, this is a risky position. He manages to get Nukeduck. Cocoon comes out. QSS follows. Defensive flash from Vardags, but Mr. Rolls is caught. He's got caught out by the knockup. Unicorns of Love have found themselves the kills they need to potentially secure this Baron.
What a fight, and really good positioning by Vardex. As I was saying, that Nukeduck and Rallis as a combo likely do better. They find themselves annihilated because one of the escape directions was limited because there was a Baron right there. They started Baron, they found themselves surrounded. They should have probably burned it down. That was their approach. Keep your eyes on the bottom left of the side of the map right now. Vardex, he will come out once Nukeduck eats some card control in about 5 or 10 seconds from now. Get a Boomerang on. For the rest, look at the right side of the fight. Power Evil is pacing beautifully. He's staying out of engage rays. He's letting his tank take up the cooldowns. Once Twisted advance, and everything else is down. He's moving in. Now that Boomerang comes out on Nukeduck. One Ricochet, that's enough damage. Plus one big crit. And now Power of Evil, he will realizes that the best place to be in a fight is on the left side right now. So he flashes over because he connects with Rallis. Really good team fight read by the Unicorns.
Exceptionally executed.
And calculated.
By the way, I believe that's 1 HP on Varus. Our observers just pinged me to mention that. Crep, I want to revisit the Banner of Command point because I can see the cooldown has been used again. Let's hope it's in the right lane. Been built 16 times. 16 times, Crepper, with a 12-4 win-loss. Unicorn's going to hope to continue to grow that number. Steve is on the front line. The depth charge is going way back. On the hunt is throwing Unicorns into Rockat's base, but Nukeduck says you shall not pass. He's going to get caught by the piercing arrow, and he's going to get dropped by the hail of arrows. Chachi still alive on the front line with only Rolls and Vander left to defend. Unicorns of Love at 50 minutes are onto the Nexus turrets. They've got banner-empowered minions. The dredge line connects. Mr. Rolls is running for his life. Gonna get away from the minions. Nexus tower will be dropping. That dredge line misses. We'll forgive it, Chachi, as the Unicorns of Love are going 2-0 in this best of 5.
And honestly, as we see Rollins go down, Nexus goes down. I want to see the accuracy from Power of Evil. Sadly, we can't really track that in League of Legends just yet, so we might put one of our observers on it, manually checking, because that guy doesn't really miss an arrow very often.
You are an evil, evil man. In terms of damage, Power of Evil dealt 61,000 points of damage to champions. That is more than both Nukeduck and Mr. Rolls combined at this stage. Well, that's 2,000 less than them combined, but I'm still counting it.
I closed the game, and the first thing I see is a tweet from Kasing. I wish Yarnan could flank like that on Sivir.
You know what? I wasn't convinced that flank was going to work.
No,
from Vardex.
I just ate humble pie and my words at the same time. As I was, calling out positioning, really good flank there from Vardex. Just did what he had to do, then flashed out, went back in, and good accuracy and teamfight positioning from Power Revival. But in retrospect, we have now played 2 games. Game 1, heavy magic damage composition with very, very kite-heavy approach from Roccat. Didn't work.
Yeah.
They steal the victor with some more offensive potential. Elite starts working out. Worked a little better. What's next?
Yeah, what is next? I hate to be the guy that does it, but Roccat, once again, build up everyone's hopes, only to disappoint when the pressure gets turned on. And in a few minutes, we'll figure out if Roccat can turn this series around when they get back on the Rift against the Unicorns of Love. They have to win this game to keep a semi-final hope alive. As we go, Hilisang will tell us the downside of Rockat's strong showing when it comes to scrims.
I think they will try their best, but something happens against Roccat. Usually, they do really good in scrims. They crush every team, but I think that's their weakness because they play so good in scrims that when you go in LCS game, everyone is playing so passive and safe, and they have troubles closing games. And I think we can work on this and beat them this way.